listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast with your host, Andy Plimer. Bringing you up-to-date coaching concepts from the world of rugby. Sharing ideas to make the game better.
All right, welcome to episode number 56 of the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. I'm your host, Andy Plimer, and joining me today is Rameses Langston. Rameses is based in Vancouver and is the head coach of the University of British Columbia's men's rugby team. His home club is Capilano RFC, and he has had coaching roles in schools, junior age grade, and senior club. He's a father of three, a teacher, and an athletic director, and it's a pleasure to have him on the show. So welcome, Rameses.
Hey, thank you so much, Andy.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's been probably 3 or 4 years since we last reached out and when I first met you over in BC.
Yeah, man, and that was a good time. I still think about those little camps and things, right?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. It was a good camp, and it was good just to hang around after sessions, talk rugby, and bounce some ideas off each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nice to be in a room full of guys just working on trying to figure it out. You know, I quite enjoyed that. In fact, most of my learnings come from, those types of open conversations between, other coaches. So.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think they're great when you're in that, you're totally immersed in that rugby environment. It really gets the ideas going. So we touched a bit on your backstory there of coaching. How'd you start as a coach, and what's the journey been like over the last few years?
Oh man, it's been pretty crazy. I don't think I take a lot of time to look back because things seem to be moving forward so fast. But my coaching really started out of a general interest or a passion for the game, but a general interest in giving back. I went to Carson Graham in North Vancouver, and had some wonderful, role models and coaches that took the time to kind of, give me something to pour all my energies into. And, I recognized very early as a young man that those opportunities and the time that they took was so important. So I think my first objective was to return home after, graduating university and offer myself as an assistant coach or as a support coach, to Carson Graham. So I think that was, really the starting point. At that time, Carson had so many coaches, and the school itself was very well known for providing coaches even at other schools and in our community. So there was quite a network. And a coach by the name of Ian McDonald, asked me to join him up at a junior school called Balmoral.
Yeah.
So I spent the year, kind of working and helping him out before the next year where I got a chance to move to Carson Graham.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what were those first experiences like? No doubt, like similar to mine, pretty clunky.
Absolutely, man. Very messy. I had been dabbling in coaching, and as a player, I really felt like I understood the game and played it to a reasonable level. Obviously, nothing at the national or anything further, but I always thought I was a really good player. But until you have to break the game apart and explain to small groups or large groups rugby concepts, it was a real eye-opener in terms of how much I had to learn in order to be, an expert or considered, somebody that, is a valuable coach within a program. So, a lot of mistakes, a lot of messiness, but, again, it was fun at that time. So I didn't really care. I was just, doing stuff and trying to do my best to give back.
Yeah, totally. And you did a bit of work with some of the BC rep teams as well. So you're dealing with higher caliber players in high school, obviously. Are you pretty much coaching the same stuff? You still feel that the the player IQ is still needs developing, or were you advancing it a little bit more? How did it change from going from high school into rep stuff?
Yeah, my next stage was obviously to work with Tom Marish out of Carson Graham. So a lot like yourself, another up-and-coming coach, young, very young, but had lots of aspirations in terms of, national level coaching, and had just an outstanding eye. Tom had obviously graduated from UVic and was, definitely mentored and influenced by Doug Tate.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that stage came the BC rep stuff, from my connection to Tom. He was obviously a fast riser in the rugby rep community.
Mm-hmm.
And his first look for a couple of things was, hey, do you want to, get in? At the time, I didn't feel like I was ready. But a couple of years later, I got approached by Dave Brown and representative of the BC Rugby Union, and got involved, and that led me to doing some rep rugby with Jeff Williams. And just to speak to your point, there's definitely a jump up again, and I think those kind of level increases and player caliber increases really force you into now doing some more homework and making sure you're prepared for sessions and have a good idea of what you want to accomplish. It also led me to really have a look at what I was like in terms of like communicating with players. So that period was definitely a really huge time for me, as I was really trying to figure things out on the fly, and just trying to take in as much information from guys like Jeff and Tom, and guys like Tim Murdy, who were all at that same time really making their mark on rugby as well.
Yeah, having those mentors and coaches that you can watch and get ideas from is really important. I know personally for me, I being around Francois Ratier really opened my eyes a lot to how rugby can be coached. So it's super important. Now you're at UBC. You're heading up the UBC program. You've had that up for a few years now. What's a bit of a general description of the UBC men's rugby program?
General. We like to call that's a tough one. I don't want to give you catchphrases. I think that's what that's what my first instinct is like, hey, UBC, we are. I don't want to deal with it. I'll give you a more honest answer. We really, UBC, to describe it, it's a place where our athletes, the athletes that have chosen our program, can come and be challenged, but enjoy the hard work. So I think if I had to describe it, we have drawn from as many different rugby influences as possible. So to describe the program, I would say we're really an evolving hybrid program. We see things, we bring them in, we take it apart, we kind of take what we really enjoy or we think fits with a particular team for that year. And so again, to describe it, I would say, it's hard work, but it's a lot of fun. It's player centered. So, we spend a lot of time trying to, work on a more holistic level, with the whole human being, and just trying to understand who they are as individuals and, what they bring to the table, in terms of diversity. So, I think that would be, a description. We also really, take great pride in the, the crossing over of the rugby and educational pathways. So seeing them as a unified something, versus two separate things. And I think that, our players, really buy into the fact that we're just as committed to turning them into outstanding national level or professional players or coaches or referees, as we are with seeing them graduate and walk across the stage and, have that backup plan, for life in case, rugby doesn't lead to, full-time occupation.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it's a fine balance. I think doing that and making sure that you got to make sacrifices somewhere, and often it'll be on the practice fields where you have to we can't do this, and this because the guys are gassed, they're in exams. We've got to make sure that's priority number one. So I'm sure you have to adapt with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you bet. In fact, I'm fifth year in, we're able to anticipate more of the avenues by which we can support our athletes, and I think also understanding that the mind and body are really important partners, and you got to really see that our guys in those exam periods or throughout life have things that come up, and they're often affected by them, and it's not necessarily the rugby, and last couple of years we've been really looking at the kind of the mental aspect as well as just the physical preparation that goes into developing our athletes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And what when you took over, you said you've been with the program for 5 years. When you took over, what was the state of the program for UBC at that stage?
Yeah, it was interesting. At the time I came in, I was asked to come in and have a look at the program and sort of see what I thought, give an assessment of whether I felt like I could move into a head coach role. There was some interest for me to do it right out of the gate, but I felt it important to take a look at it for a year and really try and understand it. When I arrived, they were, a good group of athletes. Spence McTavish is an awesome rugby coach and a rugby man, a legend. So it was really cool to get to mentor under him and work with him and get his thoughts on what he'd been building. The level of play was Okanagan Springs, so kind of like a Div 1 of clubs that play just below the Premiership. So clubs like Richmond and United and a few others. And I think really when I look back on it, it's just kind of not making the most out of its resources at the time. I think the players had, maybe lost their way in terms of what it meant to represent the club, and feel proud to be a part of something. And Spence did a wonderful job trying to build that and pass it on to his players. But for some reason, and it could be many things, there was a bit of a disconnect, in my opinion.
Okay, well, and then after taking over, you guys just won the university national champs in 2017, and I think how many BC premierships you won? 3 straight now, is it?
Yeah, we're 3 in a row, and I gotta bring back attention to the first one, which was super cool, and that was a double win at that Okanagan Springs level. So in our first year, with all kinds of real doubt about whether or not I could or my good friend Curry really lead this program and turn it around. We won an epic battle at both levels against the Seattle Saracens.
Yeah.
And so that was year one, and to take a bunch of college guys, uni guys, and front up against a bunch of USA Eagles and get a win.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. The game had like 2 red cards and 2 ambulance visits, and it was like the wildest game I've ever been a part. And never in my life have I felt so helpless. Short of hopefully some redirection at halftime, the game just took a life of its own. And so that was the first. And then, 3 times Premiership champions, which we're very proud of. And, there's a 7th title in there last year, Canadian champion. And then this year, obviously the inaugural Spence McTavish Rugby Championship. So it's been an awesome run.
Yeah, and like to turn the group around like that. What do you think some of the key things for that success is from your point of view as head coach?
You know what? To be honest, I got to give all the credits to just making sure I brought in people I could trust. It's a huge something. I pride myself in hopefully being able to recognize people that you can trust to, know what it is that they want to accomplish, who are highly intelligent and who are motivated to be the best. So obviously the first thing I did was reach out to Curry Hitchborn, who I, knew from Caps, and, he agreed to come out and give me a hand. And that, that partnership was a critical, kind of a critical piece to getting things moving. Having a partner and somebody to, share the tough times and the, obviously the successes with is, valuable. Being kind of a little bit outside the norm, I think, was the other thing. I think, from knowing both of us, we're a little bit unusual, I believe. We have our own styles and we have unique personalities, and it was very clear neither of us was going to do anything different than be ourselves and try and let our players know that we were there for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then reconstructing the culture, trying to attract and sift through the athletes that truly wanted to be better, who sometimes, in a lot of cases early on, weren't necessarily the best athletes, but they were, the most committed and at training every day, and, just had that work ethic. So really focusing on those human beings and making that the standard was integral in our process as well.
Yeah. So if you were talking to someone who's looking to take on a program to try and turn it around, would that be some of the key things you'd be looking at? And what kind of time frame would you give that person?
I went on 5 years.
Yeah.
We just happen to have things, move a little bit quicker. I mean, right away for us. And I think that's pretty unusual. When I sat down with, the organization and UBC and Spence, I said 5 years would be a reasonable timeline for you to really see, progress and development and sustainability. I didn't want to come in and have a great year and then have it kind of fall apart after. So, again, I think 5 years would be, my, recommendation for, a new coach looking to try and do some stuff, or turn a program around.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely, club I'm involved in now that I went back to, it took, it's kind of a similar story. You arrive and it was like a bit of a shambles. Well, not that your club was, but my club was. And, we had to fight our way into promotion, and then it took us 4 years to win a cup. We won one, a lower division one, similar to your story. But to win that top league, it took us 4. Yeah. And it's minimum 3 years investment, I feel, for turning something around.
For sure. And I think that's something, we need to do, in Canada, is invest long-term versus short-term. I think oftentimes the need to win now, supersedes the time it takes to, kind of figure out what it is that you really need to, pay attention to in order to get it right. I mean, one of the things we did was we just basically said, no matter what we do, we are going to continue to hammer core skills, because that's where we felt like a lot of our athletes, struggled. So you could have as fancy a defense or attack plan or pattern or whatever you want to call it, systems, really big now. But if your athletes can't execute basic skills, finish, when there are opportunities, make, the right decisions, without being, told what to do, it's really hard to get to, the advanced rugby and some of the stuff that's out there right now. So, The other thing we did really well was just be okay with doing some very ordinary hard work until we started to see progress in the whole program,
Yeah, that's cool. All right, and we touched on it earlier. You guys won the inaugural Canadian University National Championship. I watched every game online. It was a fantastic competition. You guys had a great team. You had a couple of just stellar players in that group. Really, really exciting to watch. How important is that competition in your mind? And after going through the first year of it, how would you like to see that grow?
It was huge. We have been working, towards something like this and hoping that, there'd be a recognition at the university level. I don't know what it is, Andy. It's one of those things where I hear more people talk about the importance of university rugby in conversations with myself or others or in the background. Yet, a competition like this, which celebrates, the work that all the coaches and these players, are putting in, didn't exist. So it was huge, I think, because, in my opinion, I think the universities are the most, probably under-supported and underutilized rugby resource in the country. And I'm really hoping that in year 2, 3, 4, and for as long as, we continue it going, that that continues to build, the universities as a great resource for developing rugby players.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, although, we are definitely very interested in putting our hands up to host as the, as this year's first champions. But I'm pretty sure that's going to our friends over at UVic.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, that's the way it goes, eh? But I agree with you. I think it's the hanging fruit of Canadian rugby. And you've seen how successful it's been for the women's game and for men's, development long term. I think it's key.
Yeah, well, we're super active in sending our guys over, so we think that's actually one of the strong points of our program is that we house, a bunch of U20 players, lots of under 19 Canada players, and now more and more national level players. I'll use Andrew Coe and Ben Lesage as two great examples of guys who value the opportunity and work that we do at UBC, but now have moved on to national level endeavors, and we support them. We talk to professors and kind of set things up so that they're able to move from classrooms and travel. I'm really stoked on watching Ben play this weekend against Uruguay.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got graduates like Brock Stoller playing for the Canada program on the regular, and even cooler than that, we got some guys that are now signed up to play some MLR rugby. So
absolutely.
Great to see that guys like Nakai Penny, Connor Whale, and Brock Stoller again are being given a chance to play at a professional level. So I would say this is the perfect program for you, and university is a great place for you to develop physically, maybe hone your skills, and then move on to that next level or that next opportunity.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about your coaching in particular. What's your favourite part of the game to coach, and why do you like coaching it?
You know what? I'm enjoying coaching the backs right now. I find I'm moving in, kind of an evolutionary, way. When I first started, I was the forwards coach. So you did all things forwards. I really enjoyed the strong physical work that the forwards did, whether it be the scrum time or whether it just be the close contact ball carrying. So that's where I started. But recently, because I've got such a strong forwards background in my coaching staff, I've moved in to try and become a better backs coach. And I think I enjoy it because it's the fun stuff. I like to call it. It's that, really, when it's on target and you get it right, it leads to moments in the game that we're all attracted to. That line break, that great support line, and just guys working together to score points and execute. And so I'm really enjoying coaching the backs. I also enjoy it because a lot of people keep telling me I can't do it. So there's a little bit of there's a little bit of grit in there, and
sure.
so I've been challenging myself to really embrace becoming more of a backline coach. I think really though, becoming a head coach has been the biggest eye opener. I'm moving into administration and program objectives, and obviously doing some media stuff and selling the program, along with trying to attract the right athletes so we can continue on such a great path. So
that's a good point.
So
cool.
Yeah.
If someone was come and watch you coach the backs, what are they going to see? What are they going to hear? How would you run your session if you got given 15, 20 minutes? Lots of kicking, lots of hair product conversation.
Okay, so perfect. Lots of kicking, lots of hair product. Absolutely. No, I think I wrote down a description. I think organized chaos would be the best description. I'm a very free-flowing coach. I like the guys working more than kind of standing around idle. And obviously the opportunity to connect throughout a particular session is really important. So, we work on trying to, get the players to think for themselves and come up with those solutions and answers. I think organized chaos would be the best description. And hopefully a lot of hard work and some good times, some smiles afterwards as guys feel like they've, made progress in the session.
Yeah, cool. Sounds a bit like rugby.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Right. We don't try and complicate things at all. In fact, straight and to the point is often the best medicine.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, we always end the show with the same final 4 questions. When you were a kid growing up and you first got kind of the rugby bug, who are some of the players going around that really caught your eye?
Yeah, awesome. As a kid, the one that hooked me, I got to be honest, and is Joe Dalomu.
Yeah, sweet.
Just the sheer size, power, and physicality of the man. Plus, I still rock his haircut from time to time.
That's true.
only mine isn't by choice. It's basically the circumstance of how things have gone in terms of the hair world for me. But Joe Dalomu was the real first, like, holy wow, I want to do that. I want to find out more about this. I'm also a huge fan of Richie McCaw. So I think you can tell I'm a huge All Blacks fan. They've always been something really unique and special. So I've paid close attention, and Richie for me is probably just the toughest human being I've watched play the game, and just an outstanding leader. His presence on the field, I think, for those teams and for while he was playing for the Crusaders, I think you could just tell that he had a special something about him. So I'm going to go with Jonah and Richie.
Yeah, no, I agree on Jonah. I was a massive fan as well. So much so that my wife and I we named our third child Jonah shortly after Jonah passed away. So it's he was just one of those characters in the game who just really changed how people saw rugby, and that it was right on that cusp of going professional. And he was huge to the game. Can't underestimate that.
That is amazing that you named one of your kids after him, man. If I was having more kids, which I am not, so please make sure my wife listens to this podcast. I would consider the same, man. That's super cool. Can I give can I give another shout out to Jamie Cudmore?
Yeah, totally, man. Absolutely.
Because that guy is rad. He is such a great human being, and in the recent past, watching him play as a great Canadian athlete. So I'd have to give a shout out to Jamie as well.
Yeah, and he came through Capilano too. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. I think you can tell I'm a bit of a homer.
Yeah, that's all good.
But, a lot of good people, and Jamie's the kind of guy that no matter how much success he experiences, or how high in the rugby world he's gone, will look you in the eye and play touch with you, and just treat you with respect and give you the time of day. So, pretty special guy, that one.
Awesome, cool. And second question? What about now? Who are some of the guys on the international circuit, or players on the international circuit that you think are really, really impressive to watch?
Big fan, of Bowden Barrett, and Dan Coles, two guys I kind of got to look at as young players while spending a short time in Wellington. Really neat to see what they have done. They were at the kind of entry point of the Hurricanes, and just the whole dynamicism, and how quick they kind of make decisions and take advantage of situational rugby is super impressive. So I would say those two guys. I'm also a big fan of Sam Jeffrey, who was playing in the UK for Bristol, who is also a UBC student and athlete, and it's really cool to watch him take on the game and progress through his career.
Yeah, he's got Pat Lam as a coach too. That'll be pretty amazing,
huh? First article I got about Sam was really cool because it highlighted Bristol telling him or working with him to complete his degree, although signing a professional contract, so that he had that piece squared. Right. Yeah. So that he had that piece squared away before he fully immersed himself in professional rugby. So I just love that cultural piece and that mentality that they value with education like that. So there's some guys I'm pretty keen into. There's a few others, but those guys are pretty
cool. And what about coaches? Third question: who are some of the coaches going around that you really like what they're doing?
Yeah, I got a long list, man. Chris Boyd was really cool from the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So he was really good. I got to throw Tom LaRiche and Curry Hitchborn in there, because those are my good brothers, and both have really had great influence on me. I'm a huge Crusaders guy as well. So Todd Blackadder, would have been a very a great coach that I enjoyed kind of having a look at, and Spence McTavish, and then recently Gregor Townsend. The noise in Scotland, and me being a McLennan, has been outstanding. I really, they're doing something that I think a lot of coaches should have a look at.
Yeah.
Can I mention two others?
For sure, man.
Yeah, no problem. These are a couple of your homeboys from Australia here. So Brian Smith and Andrew Blade.
Oh yeah, they were just at UBC, eh?
Yeah, I gotta hit these two guys up because they were so open when I went down to Australia, and we just talked rugby and shared and exchanged some ideas for a few hours, and I'm really excited that I was able to invite them up to Canada to have a look around at what we're doing, and get to learn from them for a short period. So Andrew and Brian have both become definite coach mentors and friends.
Sweet, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw on your Twitter feed that those guys were here. That would have been awesome for coaches and players alike. All right, well, last question: who's someone in your local community in the grassroots who's doing really good work that you feel deserves some recognition?
Well, I'm going to go with Bruce Rayner out of Rockridge. Right. He's now moved into our program and has taken on kind of our first division and under 23 academy. And he's a rock star, man. He loves the game, and he's great with our athletes, and just a real neat coach to spend time with. So my shout out goes to my good man Bruce Rayner.
Cool, awesome. All right, mate. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. It's been a long time coming. I wanted to get you on for a while, so stoked we finally got our schedules lined up and got to chat some rugby, and really look forward to catching up with you in person, and we'll be following UBC's progress throughout the Premiership, the BC Premiership, really closely. So thanks, mate, for giving up your time.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, no worries. It was awesome. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review via iTunes and keep listening for the next episode. You can also follow us via Twitter at Rugby Coaches CNR or via the website therugbycoachescorner.com. Until next time, keep sharing ideas to make the game better.